Welcome to the 2023 Women's Basketball Championship Bracket Reveal. In just a few moments, we will reveal all of the qualifiers for the 42nd Annual NAIA Women's Basketball National Championship, set to begin on March 7th for first and second round action at sites throughout the nation. The winners of each will descend on Sioux City, Iowa, beginning on March 13th at the Tyson Event Center. 64 teams will begin their journey to Sioux City, where we will crown the winner on March 18th. The march to the NAIA national title begins now. There are two primary ways that a team can qualify for the national championship field: by receiving either an automatic bid or an at-large bid into the tournament. The number of teams in each league determines the number of automatic bids in each conference. Leagues with 10 or more schools receive 2 automatic berths, while conferences with less than 10 institutions receive 1. Automatic bids are determined by each conference and can include conference regular season champions, regular season runners-up, tournament champions, or tournament runner-ups, depending on the league. The remaining at-large berths are selected by the NAIA Women's Basketball National Selection Committee, made up of coaches and administrators from around the nation. Now, let's take a look at the first round matchups. Let's get started in the Naismith Quadrant with first and second round games played in Fayette, Missouri, hosted by Central Methodist. The number 1 seed will be the Eagles of Central Methodist. The Eagles earned their berth as the Heart of America regular season tournament champions with an overall record of 31-0. They will face number 16 seed Indians of Haskell. The Indians grabbed an automatic berth as the Continental Athletic Conference tournament runners-up and are making their 4th appearance in the championships. The number 8 seed in the Naismith Quadrant are the Tigers of Dakota Wesleyan. The Tigers earned an at-large berth out of the Great Plains Athletic Conference with an overall record of 22-8. They will take on the number 9 seeded Royals of Hope International. The Royals were the tournament champions of the Golden State Athletic Conference with an overall record of 24-7. The next matchups will take place in Alexandria, Louisiana, hosted by Alexandria Pineville Area CVB. The number 5 seed will be the Rams of Texas Wesleyan. The Rams were the regular season champions of the Sooner Athletic Conference with an overall record of 25-5. They will face the number 12 seeded Barons of Bruton Parker. The Barons earned an at-large berth out of the Southern States Athletic Conference with an overall record of 22-7. The number 4 seed in the Naismith Quadrant are the Lions of Vanguard. The Lions make their 24th appearance in the championship with an at-large berth out of the Golden State Athletic Conference and will carry an overall record of 21-6 into the tournament. They will match up against the 13-seeded Pilots of LSU Shreveport. The Pilots were the Red River Athletic Conference tournament runners-up with an overall record of 24-7. The next matchups in the Naismith Quadrant will take place in Indianapolis, Indiana, hosted by Marion. The number 6 seed will be the Eagles of Texas A&M Texarkana. The Eagles won both the Red River Athletic Conference regular season and tournament championships with an overall record of 28-1. They will face the number 11 seeded Vikings of Grandview. The Vikings earned an at-large berth out of the Heart of America Conference with an overall mark of 21-8. The number 3 seed in the Naismith Quadrant are the Knights of Marion. The Knights were the tournament runners-up in the Crossroads League with an overall record of 26-5. They will play the number 14 seeded Lions of Florida Memorial. The Lions were the Sun Conference tournament champions with an overall record of 23-5. The next matchups will take place in Santa Barbara, California, hosted by Westmont. The number 7 seed will be the Raiders of Southern Oregon. The Raiders snagged an at-large berth out of the Cascade with an overall record of 23-7. They will face off against the number 10 seeded Flying Queens of Wayland Baptist. The Flying Queens earned an at-large berth out of the Sooner with an overall record of 21-10. The number 2 seed in the Naismith Quadrant are the Warriors of Westmont. The Warriors were the regular season champions of the GSAC with an overall record of 23-3. They will take on the number 15 seeded Pioneers of Antelope Valley. The Pioneers won both the CalPAC regular season and tournament championships with an overall record of 23-8. Let's now move to the Kramer Quadrant with first and second round games being played in Crestview Hills, Kentucky, hosted by Thomas More. The number 1 seed will be the Saints of Thomas More. The Saints earned an at-large berth out of the Mid-South Conference with an overall record of 26-3 and are making their third appearance in the field. They will take on the number 16 seeded Skyhawks of Point. The Skyhawks were the tournament champions of the Appalachian Athletic Conference with an overall record of 23-8. The number 8 seed in the Kramer Quadrant are the Bulldogs of Concordia. The Bulldogs earned an at-large berth out of the GPAC with an overall record of 19-11. They will take on the number 9 seeded Cougars of Columbia College. The Cougars won both the American Midwest Conference regular season and tournament titles with an overall record of 26-4. The next matchups will take place in New Orleans, Louisiana, hosted by Loyola. The number 5 seed in the Kramer Quadrant are the Patriots of the Cumberlands. The Patriots earned an at-large berth out of the Mid-South Conference with an overall record of 22-7. They will face the number 12 seed, the Eagles of Midway. The Eagles earned the River States Conference selection with an overall record of 23-8. The number 4 seed in the Kramer Quadrant are the Wolfpack of Loyola. The Wolfpack were the Southern States Athletic Conference regular season champions with an overall record of 27-2. They will match up against the number 13 seeded Golden Eagles of John Brown. The Golden Eagles earned an at-large berth out of the Sooner with an overall record of 20-9. The next matchups in the Kramer Quadrant will be played at Park City, Kansas, hosted by the Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference. The number 6 seed will be the Evangels of Mid-American Christian. The Evangels earned an at-large berth out of the Sooner with an overall mark of 23-6. They will face the number 11 seeded Warriors of Sterling. The Warriors were the regular season champions of the KCAC with an overall record of 25-5. The number 3 seed in the Kramer Quadrant are the Bulldogs of Montana Western. The Bulldogs earned an at-large berth out of the Frontier Conference with an overall record of 25-5. They will face the number 14 seed, the Panthers of Philander Smith. The Panthers grabbed an at-large berth out of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. The next matchups will take place in Sioux Center, Iowa, hosted by Dort. The number 7 seed will be the Drovers of Science and Arts. The Drovers earned an at-large berth out of the Sooner with an overall record of 23-6. They will take on the number 10 seeded Comets of Mayville State. The Comets are the North Star Athletic Association tournament champions with an overall record of 23-5. The number 2 seed in the Kramer Quadrant are the Defenders of Dort. The Defenders are the GPAC regular season champions with an overall record of 28-3. They will face the number 15 seed Tigers of Iowa Wesleyan. The Tigers won the Continental Athletic Conference with an overall record of 23-6. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll reveal the right side of the bracket right after this.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in emotions around, oh, I feel good, or I feel like I'm getting better, or I feel like I'm getting worse. But having data, big data, over a long stretch of time allows you to actually see your work come into fruition in the form of progress. It just allows you to create a better perspective over your progression. To ignore it entirely is doing yourself a disservice because it's a resource that's available to you.
First time I picked up a Spartan TF ball, I knew it was built different. You know that feeling from that first moment on, it never leaves your hand. It raises you, lifts you to new heights, got you doing things like that. And once you're hooked, ain't nothing gonna stop that. It teaches you to be a student first, to lay it all out, just to do it again.
And again.
From the moment you pick up a TF ball, it's always there for you. Now do something with it.
Welcome back. Moving now to the Dura Quadrant with first and second round games played in Campbellsville, Kentucky, hosted by the Mid-South Conference in Campbellsville. The number 1 seed will be the Tigers of Campbellsville. The Tigers were the Mid-South Conference regular season champions with an overall record of 28-2. They will take on the number 16 seeded Mighty Oaks of Oakland City. The Mighty Oaks grabbed an at-large berth out of the River States with an overall record of 20-8. The number 8 seed in the Dura Quadrant are the Eagles of Faulkner. The Eagles were the Southern States tournament champions with an overall record of 25-6. They will take on the number 9 seeded Bearcats of Rust. The Bearcats were the Gulf Coast tournament champions with an overall record of 22-5. The next matchups will take place in Rio Grande, Ohio, hosted by Rio Grande. The number 5 seed in the Dura Quadrant are the Bears of Pikeville. The Bears earned an at-large berth out of the Mid-South with an overall record of 21-8. They will face off against the number 12 seeded Lancers of Grace. The Lancers grabbed an at-large berth out of the Crossroads League with an overall record of 21-9. The number 4 seed in the Dura Quadrant are the Red Storm of Rio Grande. The Red Storm were the River States tournament champions with an overall record of 28-3. They will take on the number 13 seeded Saints of Siena Heights. The Saints snagged an at-large berth out of the Wolverine Hoosier with an overall record of 24-6. The next matchups in the Dura Quadrant will take place in Lewiston, Idaho, hosted by Lewis Clark State. The number 6 seed will be the Oaks of Menlo. The Oaks grabbed an at-large berth out of the GSAC with an overall record of 21-9. They will match up against the number 11 seeded Battling Bears of Rocky Mountain. The Battling Bears earned an at-large berth in the championships out of the Frontier Conference with an overall record of 19-10. The number 3 seed in the Dura Quadrant are the Warriors of Lewis Clark State. The Warriors were the Cascade regular season champions with an overall record of 28-3. They will face the number 14 seeded Red Hawks of Simpson. The Red Hawks were the CalPAC tournament runners-up with an overall record of 19-10. The next matchups will take place in Dubuque, Iowa, hosted by Clark. The number 7 seed will be the Lions of Freed-Hardman. The Lions won the Mid-South Conference tournament with an overall record of 23-9. They will take on the number 10 seeded Red Raiders of Northwestern. The Red Raiders from the Great Plains Athletic Conference earned an at-large berth with an overall record of 19-10. The number 2 seed in the Dura Quadrant are the Pride of Clark. The Pride were the regular season runners-up in the Heart with an overall record of 27-4. They will match up against the number 15 seeded Red Hawks of Indiana Northwest. The Red Hawks were the Chicagoland regular season runners-up with an overall record of 24-7. Just 16 teams remain as we move to the Liston Quadrant, with first and second round games played in Marion, Indiana, hosted by Indiana Wesleyan. The number 1 seed will be the Wildcats of Indiana Wesleyan. The Wildcats took home both the Crossroads regular season and tournament titles with an overall record of 28-3. They will face the number 16 seeded Eagles of Southwestern Christian. The Eagles are the Sooner tournament champions with an overall record of 17-13. The number 8 seed in the Liston Quadrant are the Pioneers of Mid-America Nazarene. The Pioneers earned an at-large berth out of the Heart of America with an overall record of 21-8. They will take on the number 9 seeded Tigers of Georgetown. The Tigers grabbed an at-large berth out of the Mid-South with an overall record of 18-13. The next matchups in the Liston Quadrant will take place in Fort Wayne, Indiana, hosted by Indiana Tech. The number 5 seed will be the Warriors of Indiana Tech. The Warriors were the Wolverine Hoosier regular season champions with an overall mark of 26-5. They will take on the number 12 seeded Lions of Bryan. The Lions took home the regular season championship in the AAC with an overall record of 27-4. The number 4 seed in the Liston Quadrant are the Chargers of Briarcliff. The Chargers are the tournament champions of the GPAC with an overall record of 24-7. They will face the number 13 seeded Spartans of Missouri Baptist. The Spartans were the AMC tournament runners-up with an overall record of 24-5. The next matchups in the Liston Quadrant will take place in Wichita, Kansas, hosted by the KCAC. The number 6 seed will be the Trojans of Dakota State. The Trojans garnered an at-large berth out of the North Star with an overall record of 25-6. They will take on the number 11 seeded Mustangs of Morningside. The Mustangs earned an at-large berth out of the GPAC with an overall record of 17-12. The number 3 seed in the Liston Quadrant are the Mountaineers of Eastern Oregon. The Mountaineers were the tournament champions of the Cascade Collegiate Conference with an overall record of 29-2. They will face off against the number 14 seeded Spires of St. Mary. The Spires were the KCAC tournament champions with an overall record of 21-10. The final matchups will take place in Helena, Montana, hosted by Carroll. The number 7 seed will be the Jimmies of Jamestown. The Jimmies earned an at-large berth out of the G-Pack with an overall record of 21-8. They will take on the number 10 seeded Titans of IU South Bend. The Titans were the Chicagoland regular season and tournament champions with an overall mark of 28-2. The number 2 seed in the listing quadrant will be the Saints of Carroll. The Saints took home the Frontier tournament title with an overall record of 25-5. They will take on the number 15 seeded Warriors of Rochester. The Warriors were the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference tournament champions with an overall record of 21-10. Let's take one more look at the championship field. The 42nd Annual NAIA Women's Basketball National Championship gets started on March 7th at first and second round sites throughout the nation, culminating in the NAIA Women's Basketball National Championship final site in Sioux City, Iowa on March 13th. Catch all the action on the NAIA Network and the championship on ESPN3. Thanks for watching and good luck to all of our qualifiers.